Welcome back to OpenLine. We have Braden Boucek with us, Director of Litigation for the Beacon Center, talking about some of the issues that are of concern to the Beacon Center. A couple of lawsuits against Metro and also the state. We have Bob, who does not want to come online, but he wants to ask you about the fairgrounds. Is there anything the Beacon Center is contemplating in regards to the fairgrounds?
From a litigation standpoint, I don't know that we're going to get involved. I think there is a group that is already interested and has litigated on the fairgrounds issue. From a policy proposal, I know that we've had some comments about the decision to appropriate public funding for a major league stadium, and you can go on our website if you want to see our position on that. The related issue that we come back to, though, however, is that the reason why the sidewalk issue is coming about is because the city doesn't have sufficient funding to do capital works projects, and one of the reasons why it doesn't have that money is because it is diverting property tax revenue. And a great example of that is the $50 million that are going to develop the fairgrounds on behalf of a private entity that is the Major League Soccer Stadium.
All right. Beacon Center has been on in the past. There was one about, we talked about a lawsuit involving home businesses. Is that right? And I felt like it had to do with Airbnb. But is that, update our viewers on that, kind of what was the situation there and where does it stand now?
Sure. We were on before with Keith Diggs from the Institute for Justice. We represent two individuals, Lid Shaw and Pat Rayner, and they're both wonderful Nashvillians that were just trying to run a home business, and the city tried to shut them down. Lid, interestingly enough, runs a home studio, which, Nashville, you can't swing a dead cat without finding a home studio. I candidly, as a native Nashvillian, I always thought that if you have a home and your neighbor's a home studio or a home musician, it's kind of like hitting the Nashville jackpot in terms of eccentricity. It's something that everybody wants. But the city threatened to shut him down, and we represent him. Miss Rayner is a widower who wants to just supplement her retirement income by doing a couple of hairstyles a month, or a week rather, and she's got her whole garage built out, fitted, satisfies state and local code, and they've told her that she can't do that either. Both of these people have the broad support of their neighbors. They want to do it, but Nashville's told them that this is illegal. Nashville's got some of the most restrictive home business laws in the entire country, in that they have a per se ban on any business that involves a client coming to your home. So just a couple of common examples, that would mean that you can't get piano instructions in the piano teacher's home. It would mean that going to someone's house for home yoga. It would mean that swimming lessons at the swimming instructor's home. All of these things that are just within the normal everyday experience in national area residences are illegal according to Nashville. So we challenged that with the Institute for Justice on behalf of Mr. Shaw and Ms. Rayner, and that litigation is ongoing right now.
So that's not complete?
No.
And did it have anything to do with Airbnb? Well,
one of the arguments that we made was that we already have home-based businesses in Nashville. Historic home daycares, or historic homes are one. We also allow daycares in residential areas, in addition to all these other businesses that we notified, or that we mentioned. And on top of that, we also allow short-term rentals as well. So, Nashville's got a long history of accommodating certain types of residential businesses and just expecting them to obey normal noise, parking restrictions, and that's why we represent them.
Another interesting lawsuit involves the state. You've sued the state, and I guess what are a couple of the lawsuits there that you have going on with the state?
Well, one lawsuit that we have going on right now is we represent a young man in Memphis who wants to be a barber, but he's not allowed to because he never graduated high school. Tennessee recently passed a law that says you have to have a high school diploma or a GED to become a barber. Other jobs that Tennessee does not require a high school degree are cosmetologists, which has virtually the identical job responsibilities as a barber, emergency medical responders, and governor, senator, and representative are all jobs that you do not need to have a high school degree for.
Now, when did they pass that, and what was the rationale behind it?
2015, and based on my analysis of the legislative record, there was no reason given whatsoever. When in fact, when they talked about the bill, it was part of a broader bill that they kept describing as a cleanup bill, a streamlining process in light of the fact that the barber boards and cosmetology boards had been merged into one board. But the insinuation there was that they were harmonizing regulations, but with respect to the level of education needed, they were actually creating a disparity, because you only need to graduate 10th grade to be a cosmetologist, but to be a barber you need to be 12th grade.
Well, that is very interesting. And it sounds to me almost like maybe there's a barber lobby that wants to prevent the number of barbers from increasing too much or something, or it's a mistake. I mean, it sounds like people voted on it and didn't know what they were voting on.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes what we do with the litigation is we're trying to get to the true purpose of these laws. And candidly, I can conceive of no public reason why we need our barbers to graduate high school, especially given the fact that they still have to go to school for 1,500 hours and pass state-mandated examinations before they can become licensed. So anything you're going to need to learn, you're going to learn in your curriculum. What a high school degree does, I cannot fathom. Oftentimes, these licensing laws are enacted to protect licensed professionals from competition.
And is there another law? What did you have? Did you take the state to court over a licensing issue? Yeah,
this would now be our third licensing issue. Tennessee, until about 2 years ago, had a shampooing license. So it was illegal, and in fact it was criminal, to shampoo someone's hair in Tennessee without a license that required you to go to school for 300 hours on the theory and practice of shampooing.
Really? Okay.
That's true, and I'm literally quoting what the laws and regulations say, the theory and practice of shampooing. I have 2 kids. They've both been able to wash their hair since they were 3. And the other one we did was we represented 2 ladies in Williamson County who were equine massage therapists, and they were told by the state that they could potentially go to jail if they continued massaging an abused horse that she owned for free, because that was the practice of veterinary medicine without a license. And both of those are cases that we filed lawsuits, and the state ultimately changed the law.
All right, why don't we take a break? That's very interesting stuff. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk more about some of the Metro lawsuits, talk a little bit more about the sidewalk issue. Take a break. Be back right after this.